to the world. Subscribe now to the Hot 97 YouTube channel. It's Ebro in the Morning with Laura Stiles and Rosenberg.
He's a friend of the show. If he's a friend of mine, Rosenberg considers him a friend. Laura considers him a friend. It's Ebro in the Morning. And we have Black Thought back on the program.
Streams of
Thought 3. Yo, this thing right here. Now, I've had a cheat code because I've had this album for a little while. Thought, why did this album got pushed back a few times before this release? What was going on?
Yeah. I mean, just that's the way that the universe will have it, Of the original release date that we had, Malik B passed away. Like either on the day, like the day it was supposed to come out, or the day before. The day before, as I recall. So it was like, we were in mourning and just trying to sort of cope with that news of his untimely passing. So I didn't feel like, I'm gonna put this record out and do all the stuff that goes along with putting a record out. So that was like one of the first delays, and a couple more sort of shorter stops were some clearances that we really wanted to get for the record, some samples and some the usage of some voices and stuff that we felt like it would have been a different record, had we not been able to use most of this stuff. So just getting most of that stuff cleared took a little bit of time as well. But in the delay, the opportunity presented itself for us to go from partnering with the smaller, like independent label to teaming up with Republic. So that's why I say that's just the way the universe would have it. If the record had come out when it was originally going to come out, then it would have been on a different label. It would have had sort of a different range of people that we're able to reach with it. So
can you I want to dive back into Streams of Thought in detail, but while you mentioned Malik, can you tell us a little bit about like what his role meant to the Roots and sort of the evolution of the formation of the group? Because obviously he was there on Do You Want More. He kind of came in and out, but you guys were always very close. So I know he was kind of heart and soul of the Roots. Can you just take us through a little bit of what he meant to you guys?
Yeah, Malik was for all intents and purposes, he was the street connection, to the Roots, and that's sort of what he represented, and his relationships outside the Roots are sort of what kept us grounded and kept me connected to the streets. You know what I'm saying, for a lot longer than that was sort of the life that I was leading. You know what I mean? I had long left. I would never say I left the hood behind me, but my head wasn't.
Wasn't on the block.
Yeah, my head wasn't on the block. Once I got a taste of what was beyond the block. You know what I mean? So once I started traveling the world and dealing with those experiences, I was out. And Malik was he never felt comfortable on the road like that. And the further we would be from the block and in the city, the more uncomfortable it was for him. So he would always just find his way back home. On more than one occasion, he disappeared. He just disappeared on the road. He like, yo, where's Malik? I thought we said we were gonna meet back in the lobby for sound check in an hour, and he'd be at the airport on his way home. So
back in Philly.
Yeah, that's so that's he was Philly to the core. He was a Muslim to the core. And I feel like a lot of the juxtaposition of the Roots between sort of piety and just gangster had a lot to do with Malik. He and I met in college. We met on the first day that I arrived at college at Millersville University, a state school in Pennsylvania, and we clicked up immediately as two forces to be reckoned with, who were sort of better, stronger together And I was in school away from Questlove, who was in a different school in Philly, and I think he was taking some classes at Juilliard at the new school during that time. So we were, trying to keep the roots as a thing, but we were, separate. So Malik he was that missing link, that bridged the gap between, should I just leave the game completely and, focus on something different, or should I try and stay making music and just, sort of bring Malik into the equation? And that's what made the most sense. So that's what I did. We would do shows opening up for acts and stuff who came to the school or who came to the to the Lancaster County area, Harrisburg area up there, upstate PA. And we would perform as the Roots, and when we left school, he left school maybe a semester before me and transferred to Temple again, just to get back to the city and the streets. And I followed, shortly after, like the next semester. Yeah.
I know you guys go way back, but for the audience, can you talk about your relationship with Sean C and working together on this project?
Oh man, yeah, Sean and I, we go back like to the beginning. What I've always appreciated about Sean is that he is, he's lived it, and having lived this culture is something that you can't really fabricate, you can't fake it. You know what I mean? So he's a hip hop dude. He's a New York dude, and when I get around him and people like D. Angeletti and what I mean, his partner LV that he works with, what I mean, in the production team and who he has worked with for years, like that's just something that's so definitively New York that I mean, it's just undeniable, and it's something that it's an aesthetic that I really appreciate because it gives me a different take on what it is that I'm doing or what it is that I'm listening to, or just just life. You know what I mean? I'm a Philly dude, and what I'm saying, no matter where I've been or where I go in life, I feel like my sensibility is Philadelphia, so it's different. So I really appreciate when I get around those dudes, and I always have. He's lived it because the people that originally made me want to rock was dudes from Harlem and from the Bronx, and that's sort of where it came from. And he was there. Sean C was there in real time. You know what I'm saying? He was carrying records for Chill Will and Barry B, and you know what I mean?
That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Running with the Get Fresh crew, and you know what I'm saying? And his partner L, he was Big Pun's DJ. You know what I'm saying? And then my homie Al B was Big Pun's cousin. He was Big Pun's little cousin. He was like a baby who would be in the crib when I used to, bust it up with Pun on the phone. And I mean, it's just a bunch of overlap. You know what I mean? Like just with the connection there. I'm really good friends with Dead Prez, and I consider them, to be my brothers. And Sean C was like, for all intents and purposes, he was he A&R'd their project, but he's like the third member of Dead Prez. So on very many occasions, I run into him and spend time with him, working at different capacities, from a record executive to a producer to a DJ to executive producer to just a homie to somebody just, offering words of wisdom. You know what I mean? And yeah, I've just always, appreciated him. And we always just talked about, when it makes sense, let's do a record together.
Yo, you just blew my mind. Because I just put together from the stories you were telling, to me, what was always the most random effing interlude with Dead Prez singing on Pun's album, but it's Sean.
Oh
C.
yeah, nah, yeah, Sean, he A&R both those projects,
right?
And he, he was basically a member of Dead Prez, and he really, he got them both into their comfort zone. Like he helped them to hit their sweet spot as a team, but then he also pulled them out of their comfort zone so that they didn't play it too safe. You know what I mean? And that's why, I feel like the lyrical content, like their message was what it was, and the way that they were saying on that Dead Prez stuff on some of their earlier material, that was all, that had a lot to do with his influence.
Thought, you've had now 3 volumes of this Streams of Thought, working
Yep.
with different producers. How is it going with you doing these solo projects and also still? I mean, obviously you guys doing your thing on Kimmel,
Fallon.
but
Fallon.
as far as recording Fallon, as far as y'all recording an album and getting prepared to do other projects for the Roots, how is that balancing act going for you?
As you know, the balancing act, it works for me. With the Roots, with the Tonight Show, I mean, that keeps us busy. That keeps everybody busy enough, to not really have anything else on our plate. And we do want to put another Roots album out. I feel like the people have been waiting for it, and it's something that we've been anticipating. And we have the music, but as has always been the case with the Roots, it's just a different level of contemplation and deliberation that goes into releasing a project. And I mean, it's been a gift. Some say it's been a gift and a curse, but it's been far more a gift in that it's helped us to maintain a bar, such a high bar, for all these years. It's like, when you look back at your discography and really consider your legacy, it's not that much filler. It's not that many, it's not like, oh, that was a throwaway thing that I did just for the sake of doing it at that time in that moment, but it's definitely something that, I've sort of wanted to stray away from a little, you know what I mean? Just at this point in my sort of creative development, like my personal evolution, I'm I found myself to be more of a stream of conscious, like creative ADD sort of artist. And that's what Streams of Thought is all about. It's about me just working in that different, capacity as a creative, you know what I mean? Sort of going with the first thing that comes to my mind and, just really compartmentalizing and, narrowing it down to sort of myself and one producer at a time, as opposed to the Roots, which has always been a collective. That's and right. Just more chefs in the kitchen, so to speak. But I mean, the balance is there. It's perfect. The new Roots album is banging too. And it doesn't feel, it feels, familiar in the way that it needs to feel familiar. You know what I'm saying? It feels like the Roots, but it doesn't feel like we're, stuck in time or anything.
Yeah, it's still progress. Progress with familiarity.
Absolutely. But it's dope, and it doesn't feel or sound anything like any of the Streams of Thought volumes.
Do you think we'll get a Roots album in 2020?
In 2020, I don't think so, because I mean the year basically
it's about wrapped up.
Okay,
2021 for sure. Because I mean, off the record, whenever you want to hear it, I could play you.
Well, I know that. This is about the people, bro. I'll pull up. No problem,
all, man. I got mad albums on
the only reason I said 2020 was to force you to say 2021.
2021 for a new Roots album for sure, and for some more Streams volumes, and for this the Dangerous Thoughts album. That's probably the next move I'm gonna make. Because
what's the Dangerous Thoughts album? What is that?
That's the long-awaited joint collaborative effort between me and Danger Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And though it's something that's probably going to drop in the middle of all of these Streams of Thought volumes, since it's something that we began the initial idea maybe 13 or 14 years ago. I don't consider it to be part of that same series, so it's not going to be like Streams of Thought Volume 4 is the Danger Mouse volume.
Like, it's its own standalone book.
Yeah, it's a standalone joint, and it's an album. Like it's a full-on album, and it's a return for him to hip hop and to sampling in this way, and it's a feel-good record. It's a record for people who got into hip hop and who sort of evolved at the same period of time that we did. You know what I mean? Like we're elder statesmen at this point, so I feel like this record is reflective of that too.
I always ask this question to vet MCs, but I just find it so, I don't know, cool and interesting. Like when you were young, did you imagine that hip-hop would be a thing like rock and roll, where you could be 45, 50, 55 years old, putting out your best music, the way we saw with the Rolling Stones and these rock bands that continue to drop projects. Did you ever envision that we would get here with hip hop?
I didn't. I mean, it was always, my hope. And it was always something that, I felt, could be a possibility, but I didn't have any example to say, oh yeah, like so-and-so, I mean, look at them. They're over 40 and still relevant. Like that precedent hadn't been set yet. You know what I mean?
It's just getting set now.
I was a young person. It's definitely been set now. And, I think like the first group or maybe the first couple acts that I saw that really, started to make that a reality for me, that really gave me hope. Like, okay, maybe we could, what I'm saying? Like hip hop could begin to embrace, the vets in the same way that, U2 and the Rolling Stones and all those other artists embrace was the Beastie Boys. You know what I'm saying? Definitely the Beastie Boys. Public Enemy. I'm seeing Cypress Hill on tour. Even when Cypress Hill was young, just like their live performance, their energy, like their brand felt like something that could stand the test of time. I felt like these like the way that they're doing it is the model. Like that's the way to do it if you want to, sort of be around, and those are the people who we learn the ropes from on the road. The first tour we did was opening up for the Beastie Boys, and we toured extensively with Cypress and Beasties and Public Enemy and just Lollapalooza and we just got to rock out with like a lot of the people who sort of laid the groundwork that sort of showed us the ropes of okay, if it's possible for hip hop to quote unquote make it this far, then this is the way that you have to do it.
Your name is Black Thought, and you have always. You have always been about thoughtfulness and addressing and having commentary on the Black consciousness. And right now we are at a very interesting time in history, not only internationally with youth movements around the globe, what's going on in Nigeria with the NSARS, but, youth movements addressing police brutality, police reform, defund the police. All types of activism has become the norm. I guess my first question for you as somebody who has always been vocal with regard to, things going on in society through music mostly, is are you proud of the youth movements that you're seeing right now in society and the grassroots organizations and protests, et cetera, et cetera?
I am. I'm definitely proud, of the way that young people are embracing activism and becoming socially conscious. And it's something that I've always felt was, inevitable. You know what I mean? I felt like, just the way that history was sort of, as they say, running its course. It was inevitable that, we would reach the place where we are now as a society, and that, young people, would become the voice of, for all of us who have sort of, had enough, you know what I mean? Because just traditionally, it's always been young people. You think back to, all these icons, you know what I'm saying? All these historical, quote unquote, historical figures who, led, rebellion and who led all these different protests and created movements. These movements have always been, sort of helmed by young people, Black Panthers, Martin Luther King, even Malcolm X, like these are all, relatively young people who, we lost, obviously far too soon, but they were young and focused, I'm talking about at 25, 26, risking it all and, really having the courage to make those sorts of sacrifices. So I felt like, the way things go inside, like we were going to come to that at some point again. And, you think about just, you go back before civil rights movement to the abolitionist movement. Mm-hmm. That was young people who had enough too. You know what I mean? So you think about, oh, wow, I wasn't there for, when they were people trying to, get Abraham Lincoln elected and wanting to abolish slavery. And I wasn't there for the civil rights movement or all these different human rights movements and so on and so forth throughout history. The people who were there at that particular point in time, it's not like you feel like you're there. It's like you're living it, you in it. You know what I mean? So it's I feel like it's in the moment, it's of the moment, and this is what's happening in this day and time. And what happened before we were here, before our generations. It was beyond our control, and what happens after we're gone, what I mean, to a great extent is beyond our control. But what we're able to control, what we're able to sort of do and try to change is circumstances here and now. Like we here for this, all this shit right now. So I think it boils down to what are you going to do, and the young people have always been the ones to step up to that. What I mean, to answer the question of what are you going to do about it?
Important question. Do you vote in Pennsylvania or New York?
I vote in Pennsylvania.
That's right. We need that.
I do. I vote in Pennsylvania, which is, that's a battleground state, and it's always been. And like I said, I went to the university out there in the sticks outside of Philadelphia. A lot of Pennsylvania outside of Philly, may as well be West Virginia.
Alabama.
Right.
When it's an Alabama, Mississippi mindset for a lot of that. And, it's an open carry state. It's lots of, license to carry firearms and, shoot first, ask questions later. It's not as, there's no place in Pennsylvania really that's as liberal minded as Philadelphia.
Right.
And Pennsylvania is a huge state. I've always sort of, just understood the power of the vote there. And though Pennsylvania hasn't been my primary residence for quite some time, I maintain, ownership of a property. And that's, where I've always just chosen to vote. I go back and, I rally the troops and, I'm taking soft pretzels and pizza and bottled water to people out there while they waiting to vote.
That's dope.
I'm there bright and early in the morning, one of the first groups to cast my ballot and so on and so forth. That's been a tradition. That's what me and my homies do. And Questlove too, he goes back to Philly. He's driving people, back and forth, picking up the elderly, like that whole deal. We've always been very active, with all sorts of voters initiatives there in the state.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up. You lent your voice to a 45 Lies challenge with Daveed Diggs and the brothers from the Bay. You did that. You did them rhymes talking about the current occupant of the White House lies. But you've also, historically speaking, the Roots in general, you guys have been, coined as conscious rappers. You've had, even in the record, in the visual, what they do with the Roots was a very anti-materialism essence that you guys always brought, to the hip hop, aesthetic. Right now, we're watching a lot of rappers that are mostly associated with, get money materialism, having questions about who they should vote for. Or, you see, 50 Cent yesterday, I don't know if he was trolling or not, talking about because of the taxes, he don't care if Trump racist or not. You know what I'm saying? I'm voting for Trump. Or you had Diddy come to the party a little late, but, he's trying to organize a voting block. But even him was, a few months ago, we're holding our, the black vote hostage without, and it's like, we doing this right now. We should probably start that process a little bit earlier. You see Ice Cube even meeting with Trump, and hopefully we're going to talk to him soon about, getting a better understanding of what his agenda is. But I would love to hear your commentary on, where you are in this voting moment and what you feel like the priorities are over in the next 2 weeks, and then how we're going to hold these elected officials that you're in favor of accountable moving forward.
I mean, the short answer is that it's chess, not checkers, and we have to understand that. You know what I mean? I feel like, being able to achieve any long-term goal, being able to to bring about any long-term change, is going to happen in a sequence of shorter term victories. You know what I mean? In order to win the overall fight, you gotta win all smaller battles. So yeah, I feel like it's levels, and I feel like the first part of the process is getting any and everyone who's of age and who can legally vote to cast their vote, and to make your voices heard and to make your vote count. And I don't agree with all the policy with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris camp. Like, I don't agree with everything they've done historically. I don't agree with all their policy, but I don't agree more with with the current administration and the way that they've been serving the people. So I understand. As a lot of people say, it's the lesser of two evils, but I'll take the lesser of two evils on any given day. Trying to reach a concentrated in a concentrated effort to reach a specific goal. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we're beyond doomed if the current administration serves another term in office. We fucked. So that's the type time I'm on. That's the energy that I'm dealing with, and that's what I'm trying to prevent. I'm trying to prevent us from being completely dicked in the way that we and will be in the event that this administration remains in office. And I'll take everything else one step at a time. But I feel like everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But you have to understand, as artists, for a while, I felt like, I'm just an artist, I make music. I'm not here to be a role model. I felt that way at one point. But I feel like I came to the realization, as every artist, especially these artists who are super successful, you have to understand just the way we receive information, like what that has become. It means that we're all role models. Whether you want to be a role model or not, like that's it. You're an influencer, and your opinion based on the way you present it is gonna influence a whole host of other people, young impressionable minds, people who don't feel like doing a deep dive, who don't feel like doing the homework, doing the research. You know what I mean? A lot of people are going to take what you say and what you do for face value, and are going to take that and accept it as truth, and sometimes as law. So we got to be conscious, of that as artists. Just of the power that we wield as influencers who are in the public eye in that way.
Why is, in your opinion, I feel like people don't quite understand white supremacy and white supremacists and how it works to devalue black people, our lives, and our neighborhoods and assets. And the reason I ask that is because I think I can't process how somebody could disregard the alignment of the current administration with white supremacy and white supremacist ideals. How you could ignore that in favor of short-term gains with your bank account and taxes. Because even if you make a few more dollars, they've still devalued your communities, your people, and anything that looks like you. Because that's what white supremacy works to do. Do you think it's just people are ignorant? They don't really understand that that's the larger game that's being played? Like, what is your interpretation?
I think ignorance definitely comes into play. You know what I'm saying? Ignorance, denial, and just a disconnect. A disconnect, man. You know what I'm saying? There's certain, people feel like, I don't know, but some people, it might be that, some people feel as though they've reached a certain level of success. So, they don't have to, they no longer have to deal with, the same, institutional sort of obstacles that the Black and brown and indigenous communities have dealt with for generations. They feel like money and success, as an entertainer or in whatever field, sort of affords you, being able to live above race, or beyond Blackness, if that makes any sense. But I mean, that's never the case, man. You got, what I'm saying, how much property you own, how long you've, feel like you've, what I'm saying, been in the promise to speak. If you Black man, you're a Black man, even if you deny it. You know what I'm saying? You could try and deny it as much as you want, but yeah, you're a Black man. So or woman, or whatever you identify as. So, but I feel like that's what it is. It's a disconnect, and it's it's denial, and people just not really dealing with a matter of fact.
Black Thought, Streams of Thought, Cain and Abel, the third installment. Thought, thank you for your time today, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
And as always, appreciate you and just the work that you do. Before we go, a lot of people don't know that you've started a program at Carnegie Hall. And I don't know if that's common knowledge. If people follow you on the gram, maybe they saw a little bit, but you're developing is it a teaching program for you? What is the program?
Yeah, I'm developing a curriculum, which, I mean, that's not new. Like, there have been, sort of schools of hip hop, schools of, rap, that lots of people are doing. Just off top, I know Nas has partnered up with Harvard University, and Lupe Fiasco has partnered up with MIT in developing a curriculum. And this is something that I'm doing. Yeah. So, this is my thing that I'm doing. I did something that was almost more like a trial run about a year or so ago, where I did like an intensive, like a what they call a master class, or like an artist intensive. Right. It was just for really for a matter of days, like a little more than a week or so, handful of students. But that was to sort of set the precedent and show them where my head was and what my agenda was. And now I'm back, and I'm gonna be working with them over the next couple of years as an artist in residence. Once in residence becomes a thing. Again. You know what I mean? But I'll be working with them as an artist in residence to really, build out my curriculum, in the school of thought, you know what I'm saying? Or, Black Thought School of Lyricism. And that's another thing that when I did it initially, when I did the master's class, I brought Sean C. in, to work with me in that capacity as well, just because, again, I feel like he represents the other side of the coin, you know what I mean? And he and I work well together. It was opportunity. I mean, I was definitely going to need beats, and I was going to need to, speak to someone who had experience as an A&R and dealing with the labels and that whole thing. So he was able to sort of speak to whatever experiences that I didn't already have as an artist, and it worked out really well. So I'll probably be pulling them in again. Like, I don't even know if he knows that I'm about to, do this whole artist in residence thing. But Sean C will probably be
hey,
right.
Sean C, when you see this, you're going back to work, my guy.
Hey, look, it takes a village, man. And any opportunity I get to bring the homies, and I'm not bringing, what I'm saying? I'm not just doing it for the sake of, oh, you my man, so. You know what I mean? Here, run this company.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? But if it makes sense, and I feel like there's something in your skill set, that you could bring to the table that's going to work out for all involved, then I'm never going to front. You know what I'm saying? Just so I could absorb all the light. You know what I mean? This is my moment to shine. It's like, I feel like that's stupid. So it definitely takes the village in that way.
Black Thought, Streams of Thought 3. Go get it on Apple Music. Thanks for your time today, Thought.
Appreciate
sir.
you, man.
Yes, sir.
Salute, bro.
Hey, I
Talk
love
soon.
y'all, man.
Love you too,
Appreciate
man.
it, man. Everybody be safe.